animals, and then cats and many other domestic animals. They are, and even in one lab which I was working for the last 2 years in Spain. So there are almost 40 animals. All are either domestic animals. I mean, from livestock or other forest or even a single tree, because if there are bears, they cannot cut a tree. But once they have once the bears are extinct, or I mean that their population has declined. So what happened, that all of the area has been cleared, and all land has been cleared, and tourism has ended, and of course ultimately the income source of that people has been declined. So it means that if we want to protect the biodiversity, we have to protect the biodiversity at all sources. We have to protect all resources of the all sources of the, not only the animals. We have to protect the plants. We have to protect all other that can help in protection of the biodiversity. So far after that, in global biodiversity outlook, they have developed another strategic plan that are known as HE biodiversity targets, that could be achieved in 2010, and in UN General Assembly biodiversity. So for after that, we can have to sustainable use of its components, and after that, fair and equitable sharing of the benefits. That because once we are able to protect, then we can share all these benefits to the local communities, as well as for the prosperity of the Pakistani nation. So in as well as the Pakistan, like wild boar, like jackals, like rabbits, that I seen myself in Margala Hill National Park, but now they are not even present, or they moved to the higher elevations. So it means that rapid population growth needs more land, because in Pakistan we are found to make big houses, and we have even started a CPAC. I'm not against with these developments, but when we are planning for these CPAC motorway, and even the Tharkol project that is started in Sahiwal agriculture land. So I am against all of these, because they are not only affecting the biodiversity, but also they are a source of pollution in the environment, and our government has not taken serious steps to stop all these kinds of problems. So so the consequences or we are facing here, they are land degradation, desertification, loss of habitat, not for biodiversity, but also for as far as for the human beings, and deforestation, because many other areas are cleared, because new housing societies are like in Bahria town in Rawalpindi, or even many other Karachi, or even Lahore. They have their cases are even in Supreme Court, because they have cleared the land, or they have cut the forest to build and housing societies. So they said these are the various factors which are affecting the biodiversity of Pakistan, and ultimately they will result in ecosystem degradation, water and wind erosion, and then ultimately in depletion in soil fertility, waterlogging, increased salinity, and increased siltation of dams will result in the reduction storage of water for irrigation and power generation. So after that, because when we have no water, or we have later resources, so in some areas will be floods, and in some areas there will be drought conditions. So and even as well as the hello. So actually हमारे पास लाइट चली गई है starting from 96 and many other are being threatened, or they are critically endangered. They are facing threats because of previous problem which we have discussed. So this is special, and here you can see that cycles, they are serious threats of extinction. When amphibians, they are declined but stable, and even you see that corals, they are also declining very much than birds and mammals. Birds and mammals are stable, because many internationally efforts have been done to preserve these species. So the consequences of biodiversity loss is means that first of all, I will talk about the livestock. As we know that livestock is less genetic diversity, or they have less tolerance to adopt the disease, they feed on these insects. But when we use these pesticides, they not only kill these environment friendly organisms, but also in other way around, they can have negative impact on the agriculture products. So after that, for that, many pest species, they develop pest resistance, and it will be impossible for us to control these pests in future. So they not only affect the affect the human populations, but also they have negative impact on the biodiversity. So environmental pollution, as we all know, that that is the major problem, and Pakistan is listed in global climate risk index of 2017, 18, 19, and 20 as most vulnerable countries to the climate change. And the discharge of sewage and industrial influence, they are affecting the aquatic and marine biodiversity. And of course, after these, some of the areas, they will have an drought conditions, and some of the areas, they will face the floods. And when if the area receive agriculture area receive the floods, then whole of the crops will be destroyed, and all of the biodiversity will be lost. So it means that we are not only facing the problems, so all of these problems, they are related to the climate change problems. So how we can protect the Pakistan biodiversity? So it means that first of all, we have to set the priority sites. And priority sites, that Dr. Rashid Javed in his presentation has told you, that IUCN has given many categories like national parks, national monuments, wildlife sanctuaries, biodiversity hotspots, and many other areas where we can protect the biodiversities. And we have not only protect the biodiversity, but we also protect the genetic diversity of according to my knowledge, I think I am the only one that are working with these salmon crab preservation techniques for the wild animals. We have to protect the wildlife species, and then combating wildlife trafficking, like Indian pangolin, as I told you in the start of my presentation, that it was also one of the major source of pandemic. So China was exporting or illegally transporting these Indian pangolins from Pakistan to China, and they have said that it is one of the possible source of pandemic. It means that if we disturb the nature, then nature will take revenge in all these farms. So of course, to protect the planet, we have to stop the illegal trade, and for that purpose, we have to increase the awareness how biodiversity and ecosystem goods, they can contribute to the human well-being, and they sustain the development outcomes, and how they can promote the integration key sectors such as agriculture, poverty alleviation, climate change, health, democracy, governance, economic growth, and trade. So as far as the natural resources of Pakistan are concerned, we are fortified with many kinds of ecosystem. Like we have a lot of terrestrial ecosystem, forest ecosystem, inland water ecosystem, coastal and marine ecosystem, and almost 40% of the national area, they enjoy the status of protection of some kind. But this protection is only in papers, but not on true grounds. But of course, I'm not so much negative about that, because many initiative government has taken, and they are protecting the biodiversity, as well as the natural area, to protect the planet. So here we can see that in coastal and marine ecosystem, like Arabian Sea is rich in biodiversity area and many beaches, and they are nesting grounds for the endangered sea turtles. Indus Delta, that is one of the major ecosystem, and that is polluted by various industrial or domestic influence. And here you can see that the major land use of Pakistan, that area is consists of shrubs, grasses, and 35% area is agriculture land. Then in 2010 it was 8%, but now it is declined to the only 2.4%. So to cope with the HE biodiversity targets and sustainable goals, Pakistan government has started Green Pakistan program, Billion Tree Tsunami, and hopefully in the next few years we will get a figure that it will be increased up to 4 or 5%. So here you can see that global 200 ecoregions, that two forest types, that Western Himalayan temperate forest or Tibetan plateau, they are included in global 200 ecoregions. They are critically endangered, and these are the areas where Pakistan national animal Astor markhor or Kashmir markhor as well as blue sheep are present, and they are also facing the threats of extinction. And as well as the marine ecosystems are concerned, to Arabian Sea, then Run of Kutch and Indus Delta, they are critically endangered because of the fishermen. They clear the land for their livelihood, and to acquire the fuel from after burning these grasses. So it means that how we can so actions to protect the Pakistan biodiversity. For that purpose, we need a proper implementation, monitoring, and evaluation program. And under this Pakistan National Biodiversity Strategy and Action Plan, Pakistan has developed a successful implementation plan, and they are communicating with each other, all of the stakeholders like universities, like many other interprovincial and intra-provincial departments. They are working for the conservation of the wildlife resources. And of course, once they have achieved their targets, they plan for resource mobilization, and national coordination mechanism is very necessary, because after that we can have better word, so that will be helpful for our younger generations or coming generations. So it means that we have to contribute, we have to value the biodiversity so we can contribute to the human well-beings. And approaches or solutions for conservation, first of all, we need the population viability analysis in Pakistan. As far as my major focus is that, because as far as the IUCN red list is concerned, they only focus on charismatic species. But in Pakistan, if you see that we have 660, around about 400 to 600 mammal species in Pakistan, but they only focus on few charismatic like snow leopard, common leopard, markhor, like black bear, brown bear, Punjab Udial, and ibex, and some few charismatic species. But if we want to protect the planet, we have to focus on all the species, because all जैसे कुरान मजीद में कहा गया है कि अल्लाह ताला ने किसी भी चीज को बेमकसद पैदा नहीं किया गया, तो इसका मतलब है कि every species has their role in conservation, have their role in ecosystem. Some are acting as an producer, some are acting as a consumer, and some are acting as an food for other animals. So if we focus only on charismatic species, it means that we are neglecting all those major players of the ecosystem. So for that we need to have proper analysis or proper population of all these groups of the animal. For this purpose, we have to rank the species for their conservation, like flagship species. Like many people have you have seen that in Pakistan Air Force logo, you see that there is an falcon. ISI, they have a markhor logo, like panda in WWF, and many other they have many species that can be used. It means that why they use these species as flagship, because they not only represent a country, but after that they can help in protection of the species. While umbrella, focal, and keystone species are those species that protection of one species can result in the conservation of many species. Like I will talk about on like common leopard, snow leopard, because if we want to protect the common leopard, then first of all we have to protect its most favorite prey, and its most favorite prey is the monkey. So it means that if we want to protect the monkey, we have to protect the forest, because their major food is associated with the forest. So it means that protection of leopard can result in the protection of many species, like not only monkeys, because birds, if once forests are protected, it means birds can make nest, many insects that can feed and soil, and many other plants and many other understory plants, they can be protected. So there are various other strategies like in situ conservation strategies, ex situ conservation strategies, and we can also identify the areas where we can protect the species. And we need in biodiversity action plan, we need to have long term conservation approaches. Short term conservation approaches mean that we have to protect the species or that need conservation in 1 year. The other way, they medium term means they need protection in the next 5 years, but the long term means they need protection in the next 10 years. So it means that we have to protect the species, but after that, as I in the start of my presentation I told you that the solutions are in nature conservation, because this is the theme of today's topic or today's seminar. Because we can only, we as a human can only and only survive if we protect the wildlife species or biodiversity. Once we are able to respect the all parts of the biodiversity, then humans can be saved, or otherwise they cannot be do that. So thank you very much for listening me. If you have any question, you can ask, please. Yes. Mm-hmm. सॉफ्ट शेल टर्टल का मतलब ये है कि उसके ऊपर अगर आप टर्टल की बात करें तो उसके ऊपर डिफरेंट तरह की प्रोटेक्शंस होती हैं। एक होता है प्लास्ट्रॉन, मतलब एक आउटर है जिसमें अगर तो आपको डिफरेंट कलर्स के सिक्यूट्स या प्लेट्स नजर आए तो वो हार्ड शेल है। और अगर आपको उसके ऊपर कोई सिक्यूट्स या ऐसी कोई हार्ड शेल प्लेट्स या छोटे छोटे पार्ट्स नजर नहीं आते तो वो सॉफ्ट शेल होता है। वो अगर आप टच करें तो भी आपको अंदाजा हो सकता है कि ये मतलब आपका जो लेक्चर है मतलब सॉरी जो टर्टल्स हैं मतलब वो सॉफ्ट शेल टर्टल्स हैं। और वो आपको वैसे इजीली, मतलब अगर आप फील्ड में जाएं तो आप उसको इजीली आइडेंटिफाई कर सकते हैं। देयर आर मैनी अदर कीज आर अवेलेबल जिसकी बेस पर हम उनको आइडेंटिफाई भी कर सकते हैं, जाहिर है, तो उसकी प्रोटेक्शन भी की जा सकती है फिर। हम्म। हम्म। Yes, yes. As far as the birds are concerned, they are most important. They can they are called as indicator species. So birds की अगर हम अभी, जैसे मैंने आपको एक स्पीशीज सर्वाइवल IUCN ने एक चार्ट दिया है, तो उसमें आपने देखा है कि बर्ड्स को इतना ज्यादा इफेक्ट नहीं होता, क्योंकि अगर बर्ड्स के पास ऑप्शन है कि वो एक एरिया से अगर उनका हैबिटेट खत्म हो जाता है तो वो किसी दूसरे एरिया में जा सकते हैं। लेकिन ये है कि बट फॉर एज फार एज द प्रोटेक्शन इज कंसर्न, so as an conservation biologist,